1.7 kilometres, 55% uphill. The jewel in the crown of South Island rally sport. But no one could predict the effects of rain, and more rain. It's the 2013 Pace Project's Ashley Forest Rally Sprint.
Welcome to the Ashley Forest Rally Sprint. I'm Glenn Inkster, and it's great to be back at the country's most exciting sprint event of the year. The weather hasn't been kind to us today, but we're still expecting an exciting battle at the front of the field. Let's check out what's coming up in the show.
The BNT Stage Preview, your guide to the road, class contenders and their special cars, and all the battles, top 32, 16, right through to the final. Ashley Forest is situated to the north of Christchurch, just across the Ashley River from the town of Rangiora. The sprint uses a loop road 1.7 kilometres long. Just over half of it is uphill, and in the right conditions, the top times should be under a minute.
Here we are on the start line at Ashley Forest. It's important to get this right because it's flat out all the way up the hill. There's a few lefts and a few rights, but we're looking for the first main braking point, and Richard Mason's on that corner.
So we're at the Kinks, and this is the first braking point of the hill. Up behind me, it's really quick, and you're coming into the Kinks at quite a high speed, and it's really deceptive to get that spot just right. If you're offline, it can be a big rollover just here in front of us.
Here we are at the Notice Complex. It's important to get your braking point right. Run too wide and you're going to compromise your exit of the right-hander. That sets you up for the hairpin and is another critical part of the run.
So here we are at the hairpin. This has got to be one of the most important parts of the hill climb. Coming into it, you've got to get your line just right so that you can get a really good exit and keep in tight so that you can get lots of speed on a downhill run.
And this is the point for the Brave Pills. Maximum speed down this corner. It's a blind turn-in. You've got to keep the car as close to those trees as you can without drifting too wide. Don't hit the trees on the inside, don't hit the bank on the outside. That's the secret to a fast corner through here, and it often cuts out in the middle and there's some pretty big bumps, so it has a tendency to throw the cars out.
So after the dipper, we've got this really fast right-hander, and it's just before the finish, and at the moment it's really slippery on a rainy day, so you've got to get the car absolutely perfectly on the line. And, you know, offline, it's very slippery, and, you know, it's quite scary on a day like this.
Each competitor has a minimum of 3 runs on Saturday, with an additional qualifying run on Sunday morning. The top 32 times go into the first of the sudden death elimination runs. With steady rain falling on Saturday, the road conditions were slippery. One of the favourites, Chris West, was caught out at the Kinks on the way up the hill on his first run.
Oh, it's very simple, really. I mean, we arrived there and you know, carrying probably too much speed, but it's you know, just sucked you into the right-hand side of the inside of the corner, and I mean, there is just no grip at all, and I actually thought I had braked early enough, but quite clearly not quite.
But more experienced drivers like former winner Trevor Crowe put up competitive times from the start.
I love being at Ashley Forest to see the special cars. Just check this out, Toyota MR2, Nissan turbocharged engine, fastest two-wheel drive on the hill.
That's Chris Hay in his turbo Toyota MR2. He's in competition with former winner Trevor Crowe in the open two-wheel drive class.
Oh, well, it's a bit of a bitzer, really. It's an old Subaru Justy body that we bought for not very much money, and it's got a fairly good engine mid-mounted. It's about 400, 450 horsepower, and a 6-speed sequential gearbox out the back, which is out of an off-road car. And a lot of it's Crowe build, so the chassis and the frame and the suspension we built ourselves.
It's a Toyota MR2 shell with a Nissan SR20 DE motor in it. We've mucked around with our own gearbox. It's about 340 horsepower and it's 50-50 weight split. I wanted something different, and I wanted something that would be more efficient than those old BDAs, and it's proven to be pretty much like that.
Ashley Forest is all about sudden death. Sometimes you're out of the event before it even really gets started. Richard, the car didn't sound that good off the line, and the time tells a story.
Yeah, off the line, we pulled first gear, and then as I came into second, the car just felt a little bit funny, and the engine was down a bit on power. So, you know, I just aborted the run and just drove around quietly. Really, we're not in a position to be able to pull the tappet covers off and have a look. The Subaru engine's quite difficult where they are. in the time that we've got to run the next run.
The weather was still bad for the running of the top 32, so no records this year at Ashley Forest, but plenty of top action. Taylor Jansen showed his talent with the fastest time of the 1300cc cars on his run, and he was 22nd fastest. Don McLaren claims that he is retiring his trusty Escort Rotary and will miss the sound of this car in the forest, but 19th fastest means that Don would go no further. Chris Hay hoped to make it into the top 8, but a broken drive shaft saw him limp home last. He would get a chance in the unlimited two-wheel drive final later in the day. Deborah Kibble was one of 4 classics to make the top 32, but these conditions very tricky in a turbo two-wheel drive car. She was 24th ahead of Gary Hawkes. But Hawkes had qualified 2nd in the class on Saturday, so would get a run-off against class leader Bert Murray. Murray did advance to the top 16 in his RX-7. In fact, he was 10th fastest. Just 2 of the two-wheel drive cars making the top 16. The other was Trevor Crowe. He put his V8-powered Justy through to the next round with a stunning 7th fastest. Richard Paddock just ahead in his Subaru. Richard was sharing his car with Matt Summerfield. So who of the young Canterbury drivers would come out on top? On this round, it will be Summerfield, 3rd fastest here. Now, Summerfield rolled his own car the previous weekend, so under pressure not to damage Paddock's car. Richard Bateman had been running his car in the rally class and the open class. But now, as the competition heated up, he changed the tune to unlimited and went for the doctor. He was 5th fastest and looking like a top contender. Another surprise contender was Scott Jones in his unlimited class Evo 3, slotted in a 1 minute 10.3 and 4th fastest. No surprise that the top 2 was being fought out between NZRC competitors Chris West and Matt Jansen. West ran first of the 2 on this run, and despite the conditions, posted a 1 minute 6.5, fastest so far on Sunday, but still 0.2 away from his top Saturday time. Jansen, the last to go in the top 32. He had posted a 1:08.2 on Sunday morning qualifying. Now he put up a slightly faster time of 1 minute 8.02. So far then, Chris West at the top of the table with Matt Jansen right behind him. 3rd is a great drive from Scott Jones. Trevor Crowe in 5th is the first of the two-wheel drives.
The organisers have put a lot of importance on the class structure at Ashley Forest. There's a place for all types of cars, starting with these 1300cc cars. The commitment shown by the drivers is equally as impressive as the superstars in the outright cars.
At just 19 years old, Taylor Jansen is the youngest in the Jansen Motorsport team.
It's a Datsun 1200 coupe. It's got some ProFlex suspension in it, steering rack, so it's been heavily modified. Good wee car.
And he'll need all that modern gear to keep this old girl competitive.
Yeah, starting at the hairpin is where I can make up time coming down, and then through the dipper with suspension. And then the last few corners are pretty slippery, so just as fast as we possibly can.
You're from Canterbury. Has it been something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, I've been trying to do it the last few years, but being held up with Matt's stuff, helping him out, we just haven't found the time. So first time we're doing the event competing. Been out here most years, just watching, but it's good to be finally doing it.
And the top 3 in the 1300 class, Brendan Fisher coming in 3rd with a 1:34.92. Graham Wilson was 2nd, quite a bit quicker, 1:26.02, but it was Taylor Jansen finishing up. And got some comments now from Richard Mason. Thanks for joining us in the commentary position here, Richard.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Obviously we'd be rather be out there doing some racing, but Taylor's doing a fantastic job here in the little Datsun, and great to see him having a good run.
Of course, the little cars suffer a bit with the big deep ruts as he comes through this bit, and we'll catch up with Glenn right at the finish.
Go the mighty Datsun, that's a first in class. Well done, you've held up your end of the bargain. It's up to your brother Matt to do the rest.
Yeah, I've brought it home. I hope Matt can do the same, but yeah, we're stoked with our result.
Into the 1600 class, and this is Josh Mitchell, 1:24.87. Second was Matt Sutherland with a 1:24.18, which is pretty close there, Richard.
Yeah, it's certainly, you know, looking pretty good there. Little front-wheel drive car as well. And got a little bit wide there. Oh, crikey, that doesn't look very good at all.
Mind you, he did get it over the line there, Richard, and the time of 1:24.18. Now, here's a question for you. With Hamish Anderson coming into the picture now, how much would that affect your downhill run, knowing that Matt just turned the car around?
Look, certainly Hamish will be thinking, look, when I get down to the finish line there, I'm going to have to make sure I stay in nice and close, and otherwise I'm going to have a bit of a repeat of what Matt just did.
All right, as he goes around the corner and heading towards the line, 1:21.88 is going to be the time. And yeah, you made it through this bit.
Well done, first place.
Yeah, I'm stoked with that. It was a good run, tidy, and yeah, no errors at all. So yeah, happy with that.
After the break, they're warming up at Ashley Forest, and we go cutthroat with the top 16. All right, it's down to business. It's action from the top 16, qualifying to find the top 8. Glenn Engstrom and Richard Mason. First up, Trevor Crow's off the line and his Subaru Justy.
He's going to be pushing hard to make the 8. Normally a two-wheel drive car won't go through this far into the event, so we'll just have to wait and see what the split time is at the top.
Yeah, Trevor's been very consistent leading through the event, and you know, it'd be very hard to get that car to put the power down onto the ground. It's only rear-wheel drive, and it's quite powerful.
Well, we see the stage time coming up as you go to the split. And it's all important in making this point absolutely on the money, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, he's got a nice clean line coming there into the hairpin.
And there we go. Split of 43.08.
He's got good drive out of the hairpin. It's two-wheel drive, but the engine's in the middle of the car for good traction.
Yeah, it is a nice little light car, so coming down the hill he might be able to make a little bit of a time up there where the heavier cars will struggle under braking.
Whoa, a little bit of a moment there.
It seems to have got it back together again.
He loves throwing that car around, doesn't he? As we come towards the end, and we'll send Glenn out into the... a nice finish from Trevor Crow. And Glenn will catch up with him in the wet and the mud.
Are you happy with the time?
That is the scariest thing I've done for a long time. It's worse than coming over the top at Bathurst when it just starts raining.
All right, Bert Murray's away, and 112.7. Geez, a lot of wheel spinner in that Mazda.
Yeah, it looks like he's really struggling to get it through into second gear there. A bit of a pity with a good start.
That RX-7 seems to take all the way up the hill just to get out of first. It's got a super long first gear.
Oh yeah, those Group B cars, they were something else, weren't they?
Geez, and Bert's flapping away on the bodywork as well. Looks like it's trying to wink at you as it goes around the corner.
Bert's really chucking that car around, and you know, he's not really getting the best line, but he's certainly given it heaps.
His times this weekend have been mega impressive though, so it's going to be good to see what he comes down the hill in.
And not bad through the hairpin there, you know, like it is hard to get that car off the line with the tall first gear like that.
And he's giving it everything on the way down. Oh, he just about missed that one. What do you say?
Crikey, really pushing quite hard, and you know, he's obviously trying to get into the top 8.
A nice spectacular run down to the line, and let's see what we've got as he comes around the corner, just clicking through the timing. And the time is still running.
Yeah, look, the organisers have been saying that they're having trouble with the timing gear at the finish with all the mud that's getting flicked up.
Well, he gets another run here, and it's another good start, and away he goes.
Yeah, he'll be quite wound up. He'd be wanting to do a...
Oh, hang on. Oh, it looks like he's broken something. He's definitely bailed out of that.
Oh.
Well, of course, it's all over anyway. It's elimination stuff.
Okay, we'll catch up with Jason McConnell now on his Evo 6.5, a relative newcomer to the world of rallying, in fact, motorsport.
He says that he's done the Ashley Forest once before, but it was a bit of a hearing moment, and looks like he's really having a bit of a tank slapper going up there, coming up to the hairpin.
Looks like he's missed a bit of the handbrake. He really needed to get it turned in, but it's not going to be quick enough to get him through to the 8. So, have a few problems that run.
Bugger. It's beer time now, mate.
Well, Russell Burgess gets away to a clean start in the Celica.
And it's good to see a Celica in this event. These things used to be at the front of the World Rally Championship. Didn't you drive one of these, Richard?
Hey, I started my four-wheel drive career in an earlier model Celica than this, and you know, it was a really enjoyable car to drive. And back when I had it, we certainly didn't have the power that Russell's got out of this one. So you know, it looks like an enjoyable car to drive, and he's having a ball even way out there.
bouncing around, got a 44.4 on the split.
That's just a little bit down on Trevor Crow, so we'll have to see if he can make up some time coming down the hill.
Nice and clean through there.
He was working the wheel quite well there. Just the one hand on the wheel.
Yeah, it's an interesting technique coming down to the finish there. But maybe he's ready to go for another gear or something with the other hand.
Stops the clock at 1:15.73.
How did that run go?
Messy. It's just so slippery, but it's fun though. It's absolutely awesome fun.
And certainly having some fun. Gary Hawkes out on course now, and the four-wheel drive looks a lot cleaner and smoother through the run.
Yeah, this car actually came from Brett Martin, so it was a former championship car, and looks like he's really handling it quite nicely.
Let's just check that split time. Yes, 42.21. He's going to be the quickest so far, so we'll just have to see whether others can match it.
Yeah, really going over the top of the hill there with plenty of good pace.
That road's starting to cut up, isn't it?
Certainly is getting rough there. Some quite big potholes in there as well.
How's that going to affect the other guys on the run?
Look, really in these conditions, the only option is to get into the rut and make the most of it.
Right, and it'll sort of carry around through the corner as he comes across the line. 1:12.85. Now, Richard Bannock appearing here, and this is a shared car over this weekend, but he's coming off a good result in the last rally he was in.
Yeah, look, Canterbury Rally last weekend, and Richard did a fantastic job there. Look, just a little bit out in the loose stuff there, and look, it's flicked him across to the inside of the corner, and
it's just so slippery, isn't it?
It's very difficult conditions, so, he's away again.
But a good time to the split, 41, just over 41.96.
Yeah, he's lost quite a bit of time there after the hairpin, though, and, look, we're already at 1:08. It's going to be difficult to stay in the top 8 here.
All right, as he comes up to the last corner, and we'll see where he stops the clock, and it's going to be 1:15.94. That's not going to be good enough.
The look on the face says it wasn't maybe your best run.
No, not at all. That was just unreal, like how slippery it's gotten. Out of the hairpin, we sort of got in the grass, and I just couldn't get back out of the grass.
Chris West back on track now, and he seems to be going well. A little blast of flame as he goes around the corner.
He's got that braking line good now. He's really on the pace, considering what the slippery conditions are like.
And they've got these cars tuned for maximum power at this event. It's such a short sprint. It's all about speed up the hill and speed down the hill.
Well, here he comes up to the split, and we'll see where he sits on this one.
We're just struggling through the hairpin there.
40.91, that's pretty good though.
Earlier in the practice runs, they were into the 39s though, so I think it's important that Westy just gets a time, lays it down, goes through the 8, and then has a look at the run and sees where he can go faster.
Yeah, to be fair, the road conditions are getting worse all the time, so we're not going to see those really fast splits like we did earlier in the day.
Okay, let's see where the clock stops at 1:07.32.
Every run's an elimination, so there's no place for mistakes, is there?
I mean, no, it's it's getting down to the cutthroat now, so clean and tidy, and just try and keep it in those tracks. It's quite rutted, actually, quite bad.
Peter McLaren on track now in the Subaru.
Peter's just out there having a good time, and he's really looks like he's cracking into it, and a bit slow there at the hairpin, but having a good time nonetheless.
Well, he's in the top 16 and 44.84. How much time can he make up on the downhill run?
Look, it's really difficult to make up any time at the moment, with these conditions, as we keep saying, and everyone's struggling as they're coming down there, and they're really not on the gas.
Well, he's only been racing for 2 years, and to be at the Ashley Forest is quite a great event, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, and the time's not quite there today, but he'll go home with a smile on his face.
All right, Alan Turner, now this is an unusual car.
Yeah, this car's set up for tarmac predominantly, and when Ashley Forest is swept off and hard, a tarmac car can go quite well. It's certainly not the day for it today, and he's doing a good job. He's got a heck of a lot of horsepower and not the best handling car for these ruts.
Hey, Alan's got 10 years of speedway experience, so, he'll be bringing all that experience to this, and, looks like he's keeping it in a pretty straight line. Oh, just having a bit of a moment there. It's definitely slippery coming down that hill.
And like you say, certainly being a track car, it's going to be a lot slipperier on the track, and coming across at 1:17.06.
Your passengers just coming down the hill, you aim for the ruts and hope they're still there when you come through the other end, because it's just like, it's all fun. We didn't wreck it.
Luke McLennan on track now in his Mazda, and there was a time when these were the car to have in rallying.
And that wasn't that long ago. I remember seeing plenty of Ashley Forest rally sprints where, you know, these were in the top runoffs.
Seems to have gone a little bit wide through those corners.
Yeah, it looks like he's using the slow in, fast out technique, and it's definitely working for him. And, you know, this is not a car with lots of electronic diffs and all the rest of it. Split looks okay, you know, he's certainly on the gas on the way down the hill there.
And this is a lightweight car with a locked diff. He's really having a good go, but oh look, he's just trying to hang on to those ruts.
Oh, he's certainly got some bravery coming down the hill in these conditions, you know, good on him.
Certainly giving it a bit of throttle as he comes around to the last corner. He goes a little bit wide and will stop the clock at 1:16.91. That won't be good enough, but spectacular all the same. All right, Paul Squire on the line and gets away to quite a good start.
Certainly sounds like he's got some power.
Yeah, I reckon that sounds really good. It's, you know, cracking into it now. We'll see how he looks up through here.
We got used to watching Marty Rostenberg in the Evo 3s doing some sub-minute runs, so obviously that's not going to be on the cards today, but it's still good seeing these cars out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of these cars out there, and there's no reason why they can't do a good time up Ashley Forest, and, you know, plenty of guys out there having a go.
The Evo 3 is a bit lighter than the 6s and 7s, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, you know, lacking the electronics and the, you know, all that special stuff that makes these newer cars work very well. But, you know, in the right hands, they can really be driven hard and driven well.
Well, 43.2 to the split. He could make it into the top 8 if he gets a good run downhill.
Well, let's see how he goes down through here. Like, certainly keeping it pretty tidy coming down the hill and, you know, not, you know, stepping a foot out of line too much. And
just comes around the... There we go, 1:13.53. That's pretty good. Phil Sloan now in the Subaru, crackling and banging its way through the forest.
Well, I was certainly looking forward to listening to Richard's car this weekend because I thought he was on for a good result, but we're going to have to make do with some of these other Subarus, Richard.
Yeah, look, Phil's flying the flag here, but conditions really working against him, and, you know, it really does look like it's getting worse out there. Getting quite rough there, quite rutted coming into the braking areas. And right through the main apex as well.
Right on the run down to the final flag, and certainly working the wheel as he comes around the corner, and that's going to be a 1:15.11. Right, and Scott Jones next into the mire of the forest, but going fairly well in his Evo.
He looks fast.
Yeah, he's certainly got some pace there.
That's the most committed of the run so far in the top 16.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Scott's really given it a good go here.
He's been at the Ashley Forest before and see what the split runs at the top, 41.37.
That's a great time to the top.
Yeah, and he's still going hard down there. Or let's see how he comes down through the dipper.
2 hands on the wheel this time. Oh, a few bumps.
I think he ran a bit wide there.
Obviously just, you know, trying to keep it in the rut coming down here. You know, it is really quite difficult. Here's the finish coming up.
1:09.66. That's a sensational time.
1:09.66 for Scott Jones.
That's a stunning time in this car. Absolutely unbelievably good time.
You reckon? Yeah, I was sitting in the hangar and it's getting pretty rough up there in places. It's sort of, you know, you're getting braking sort of zones, you're starting to really bite in and bounce around, so it's... Yeah, she's a handful.
Well, now let's see how Richard Bateman handles the conditions.
We're starting to get to the quicker end of the field, and I don't think we have to wait for the stopwatch to see that they're going a lot faster.
Yeah, Richard's getting a good line up through there, plenty of power onto the ground. Struggling through the hairpin a little bit. A lot of people struggling today to get that hairpin right.
With the hairpin, it's fabricated, it's made for this event, so you have no natural camber, and as the slush builds up, it just makes it harder and harder to get turned in and get through there.
But with the conditions going up with us, how much quicker are these guys totally committed to bringing down the hill? Geez, you can't see a thing out there, can you?
Yeah, I know that the times don't seem like they're much better, but, you know, the commitment levels are actually coming up as the conditions are going down.
And 1:12.95.
Are you running the car restricted or unrestricted at this stage?
Unrestricted now, yeah. A bit more boogie up to the top, and there's not a lot of time to be made on the down, but there's certainly a second there maybe on the top. So if we can get up there and round the hairpin okay, and just cruise to the finish, it's getting real dangerous up there.
Matt Summerfield's chance in the borrowed car this weekend.
Yeah, Matt had a wee crash last weekend at Canterbury Rally, rolled the car for the first time, so it's good that he can get back in this car and be straight on the pace.
Look, I was thinking the same. You know, Matt really has been straight on the pace in this car, and it is hard to jump in someone else's car and you know, crack into it. So, yeah, good on him.
I guess a car's set up for a driver, seat position, steering wheel position. It's quite a personal thing, so, you know, 1K up and down this hill.
Matt's, you know, lives locally, so he's got a pretty good idea where the road goes, and, you know, he'll be wanting to put on a show as well.
And a good show too, 41.57 to the top.
He was quick around that hairpin too, that's the best I've seen.
Yeah, certainly a nice run round the hairpin.
Get a good run coming down the hill. Could see him in the top 8.
Yeah, look, at the way this run's going, I think he's definitely in for the top 8.
It looks so much smoother than some of the other drivers though, you know, smooth as fast, I guess.
He's tidied it up coming down the hill like he was chucking it round going up the hill.
And that's a great time.
That was a 1:10.54. That's a very good time at this stage of the day.
Yeah, man, I think I'm going as fast as I can go. Another 1:10. I'm super happy with that. I'll just keep doing with that, and where we get's where we get.
Matt Jansen on the road now. Once again, like you say, the guys that seem to be going faster.
Look, I was talking to Matt before. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve yet. He's got some mud tyres, and he might even be running on them right now.
He's looking fast.
The car's moving around a lot. I really would think he's on those mud tyres at the moment. They are different to a normal tyre. They'll move around a lot, but when you need the grip out and the loose stuff, they'll provide it.
Look at that, though. 39.87 to the top.
That's the fastest we've seen so far.
Yeah, haven't seen a 39, you know, for a lot of the weekend. It's been tough to get to.
So a good run down here. Could see him right at the top of the sheets.
Look, Matt will really be wanting to take it to Westy here so that he can, you know, put the pressure on him and put the shoe on the other foot, really.
Great in-car shot there, because I've never been down this road before, but you guys have. 1:08.14. That is quick.
Another very good time, Matt.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a nice smooth run up the hill. It's actually cutting up quite a lot. As long as you stay in those ruts, you'll be all right. But coming down the hill, the ruts are so big, you're starting to bounce out of them. So it's going to be very tricky come towards those final few runs.
You're certainly making a good race of it with Westy.
Oh, that's good. That's what we want. We want a nice close fight, and obviously we want to try and be on top.
So here is the top 8. Chris West, Matt Jansen, Scott Jones, Matt Summerfield, Trevor Crowe, Gary Hawkes, Richard Bateman and Paul Squire.
We've heard Matt Jansen talk about the big ruts and keeping the car in those ruts. A lot of that is all to do with suspension. That's what we're seeing here, a lot of development in the shock absorber, and nothing like what a road car is. You have external reservoirs, nothing's going to get overheating. The car's just designed to stay in those ruts. Inside these cars, the driver can adjust the diff setting depending on how much grip is available. So the slipperier it gets, the more lock they'll want to get the most traction. We're looking at the left rear suspension in the BNT Subaru of Richard Mason. What we see here is fabricated suspension arms. This is one of the changes that the rules to the NZRC has allowed the cars to do this. And what it means is cars that are more suitable to Ashley Forest. With these rose joints in the suspension, we get maximum adjustment, and they're able to set the cars up for every road. Towards the afternoon, they'll be making small little subtle changes to the car to make sure it's at its absolute best performance to make it into the top 2 and win the event.
Coming up, we find a bit of history on the hill, and it's the race to the final.
One of the great things about being at Ashley Forest is the history of the event and the cars that have competed at the event. This magnificent RX-7 first run here in 1985, and it was the first event for this car, driven by Neil Allport, and it's still setting fast times today.
This is Bert Murray, and he is a big fan of these historic cars.
It's good having these cars out with the sort of history for people to see. It's just a shame you need to be a duck today in these conditions, but yeah, it's good fun. You line up on that start line and you look at the hill, it's got a lot of history. You know, you look back at all those, you know, Kim Austin and, you know, all those people that have been here in the past, a lot of history, so you can't help but think about that. This is the RX-7 that Kim Austin used to break the two-wheel drive record, nowadays owned by Wade Henshaw.
He actually beat a lot of four-wheel drives. He got second to Rod Millen, who had a four-wheel drive RX-7. So the car is in its original livery as you see it at the moment. Same engine, same gearbox, same everything. But it's just had a massive birthday and a big coat of paint and a few late nights. So we just really brought it here as a tribute really to him. This is a great event and it sort of got me motivated to, me and some friends, to put it all back together and run it.
Unfortunately, only Gary Hawke survived the conditions to make the historic class runoff in his Escort.
Don't these cars sound fantastic in the forest? That's what a lot of spectators come to see, and of course Gary's having plenty of goes at the hill. He's also doing the four-wheel drive class.
And the open class two-wheel drive, Ross Teasdale on a car that's supercharged and turbocharged.
That's a lot of grunt for not much grip. So it's a bit of a hairy ride for Ross up and down this hill.
Yeah, look, Ross has been struggling with suspension all weekend, and you know he'll just be making the most of it now.
Well, he's got around that hairpin okay. I guess the ruts is playing havoc with the suspension.
Yeah, look, if you have a lot of power in a rear-wheel drive, and with these conditions, it's going to be hard work. And speaking of which, you know, here's one with a broken drive shaft.
Chris Hay with further problems, and that leaves Trevor Crowe to take out the class victory. The conditions here haven't improved as we head to the top 8 elimination. And fresh from his victory in the open class two-wheel drive, Trevor Crowe first to take it on in the 8.
That's a good effort for a two-wheel drive car to be in the top 8 at Ashley Forest, especially when the conditions are so bad.
Certainly Trevor using all his years of experience here and, you know, keeping it nice and tidy on the way up the hill. Again, rear-wheel drive, lots of power. You know, he's just going to be very carefully touching the throttle on the way up the hill.
Trevor's done a lot of motorsport and he's been saying all day this is the scariest he's ever been.
Yeah, certainly he does look frightened at the end of his run, so he's possibly not really looking forward to this run at all.
And he's always had spectacular cars here at Ashley Forest as well.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting character, and you know, great to see him, you know, get out there every year and support the event, and you know, time and again he's there, and it's something that's spectacular and interesting.
All right, first of the top 8 as he goes through the timing shoots now, and that's a 1:13.39.
So not quite the quickest time Trevor's done at the event, but might not make it through to the 4.
All right, Gary Hawke's off the line now, and of course, with the deteriorating conditions, mind you, that's still a fairly quick run.
Certainly, we saw Gary come up here before, nice and tidy on the way up the hill, and he's really come to grips with this car, and he's driving it well, I think.
It's all about getting to the top of the hill well, isn't it? And then it's just flat out on the way down.
And Gary's just fresh from winning the classic two-wheel drive section of this event, so he's had plenty of miles at Ashley Forest this year.
Oh, really nicely through the hairpin and not too wide on the exit.
It's a good split time. It's going to be really tight to make the 4. There's some really fast drivers here.
Yes, certainly they're still going to have to put in some good times to crack the top 4, and you know, Gary's obviously trying to be in there. And certainly right now, you know, you can't hold back. There's no sandbagging going on now. Everybody's giving it the works.
Right, of course, in the top 8, it really does matter on how your time looks, and there it is at 1:10.85.
Cedar Lynch here felt really good. They've got the hairpin perfect, but still a little bit reserved over that right over the dipper. But man, she's slippery.
All right, Chris West on the line. And he's made a change to his car, guys.
Yeah, Chris West was running in the rally class, and he's pulled out the restrictor, decided that they're going to run in the unlimited class, which is, you know, more boost, more power.
And it's a real maximum attack on getting up the hill.
He's certainly looking fast through there. That's quite a quick section of road, and now it's important to get this corner right. We're looking at maximum drive through the right-hander because that sets you up for the hairpin.
Yeah, Westy's driving well now. He's got to grips with the loose conditions, and you know, he's cracking into it.
And a 40.27, that's a really good split.
Yeah, that's probably one of his better runs through the hairpin. He's been struggling with that. If anything, he's been saying that the hairpin has been hard work and he's not been in the right place for that.
Oh, that was close.
Speaking of not being in the right place, just getting in the wrong place in those ruts there, how is this going to affect him on the run down?
Certainly he's going to be comfortable for the top 4 here.
108 dead. So that's going to be the benchmark.
Westy should easily be enough to get you through to the next round, but have you got more left?
We made very, very lucky on the way down. Probably lost, to be fair, probably 1 or 2 on the way down. So apart from that, I felt reasonably good.
Okay, Paul Squire to start off, and how much time can he make up on this?
Certainly he's going to have to crack the whip. You know, his time before was pretty good, but to get inside this top 4, he's really going to have to pull one out of the bag now.
How tough is it for these guys to keep up the mental game after so many runs at the hill and knowing that everyone counts?
From previous runs, it looks like Westy and Matt Jansen's got the gap on the field, so really we've got 6 drivers going for 2 positions. If all things go equal, we'd expect to see Westy and Matt go through, so we'll just have to see what he can do coming down the hill here to see if he can make the 4.
Yeah, I suspect he's going to try and keep it nice and tidy on the way down the hill. It's really the only way to get a quick run now is to try and keep it together, keep your pace going without doing anything silly on the way down the hill. So we'll see how it happens in this last little bit.
All right, heading for the timing now, and he kept it nicely in the ruts.
A 116, probably not enough to go through, but still a great job to be in the top 8 at Ashley Forest. You must be pretty happy.
Oh, very rapt. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise to be in the top 8, but yeah, real happy.
Well, Scott Jones now leaving, and he's got a good launch from the start there.
But we saw some good times from Scott before, so you know he'll be definitely gunning to get in this top 4.
Not everybody has the budget to do the full-on NZRC, but this event is great for finding a driver, isn't it?
Oh yeah, look, it's a great opportunity for people to bring out cars that are, you know, just raw and fast rather than something that's quite technical like you would see in the NZRC. Look, running really wide there.
And the rain streaming down is coming up there with the wipers on. You can just see it coming, sheeting across the top of the trees there. 42.11, is this going to be enough?
Look, really looks like he's struggling in the conditions at the moment. A bit wide there as we saw before, and you know, maybe over trying just a little bit here.
He's certainly not lacking for bravery, and what he might lack in the little places going wide, he'll make up just for sheer commitment and speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's very tough coming down there. Let's see the time.
It's 111.3, so that's bumped Paul Squire out.
You may be on the bubble at the moment, but you've done the time. The rest have got to do it. The pressure's on them.
Yeah, we're starting with a clean slate again, I suppose, every round, isn't it? So, yeah, I'll see how we go.
All right, Matt Summerfield now, launching the Subaru away.
Matt was saying before that he didn't think he had much left up his sleeve, but I'm sure that he'll try to just find a little bit more, just tidy up a few little corners and just get a few more tenths here and there.
It's quite different, isn't it? Ashley Forest is on a gravel road, just like rallying, but the approach is a little bit more like circuit racing, maybe going for a top 10 shootout lap at Bathurst or something like that, just trying to find those tiny little bits and pieces a second.
Yeah, just running wide there, we're seeing a bit of that now, and you know, I know what you're saying there, Glenn, it all depends on what the car before you does and where they end up going as to whether you can get a good line yourself. Yeah, it really does look like he hasn't been getting the lines he wants, and you know, the pressure can do that. It just push you a little bit too deep, wanting to get that better time and, you know, not ending up in the wrong place on the road.
Well, 43 dead at the split at the top, and boy, he's working it on the way down here. Comes across, and that's going to be 112.20.
And that'll be Trevor Crowe out from there.
A 112, probably not quite enough to make the 4, but it's a good job in the car. Yeah, it didn't drive until this weekend.
Yeah, no, really happy with the weekend. Just made a bit of a mistake in that run up at Nodas and went a bit wide, but hey, super stoked for the weekend. It's been really good, and thanks to Richard again for letting me drive his car. It's just great.
All right, let's see what Matt Jansen can do. The rain coming down, and away he goes.
What tyres do you think he's got on this run, Richard?
I could see off the start line there, he definitely had those mud tyres on we were talking about before. you know, he's obviously wanting to lay down the gauntlet to Westy, and he'll be wanting to get one in front of him so that he can put the pressure on him going into the next round.
I guess it's all about choosing the right tyre for the right run.
Yeah, Matt really looks like he's pushing pretty hard here. It didn't run wide like Matt Summerfield did in the last run.
Let's look at this hairpin. Any time under 40 seconds is super good though, so it's not a bad split.
Good time for Matt to the split, but, you know, really struggling on the exit of that corner. I think he lost a second or so there, but, you know, obviously making up for it with commitment. And Matt's running the unrestricted class, the same as Westy, so, you know, he'll be trying to put that horsepower down on the ground.
And really throwing the car around, trying to hold it into shape, but this is going to be a good time, 1:06.87.
Yeah, really strong time for Matt there.
Matt, it's really good to see you showing just what you can do. That time is stunning.
It's fantastic. We tried pretty hard in there. The ruts are cleaning out, so we're getting quicker. We're enjoying it.
So here's the top four. Matt Jansen, 1:06.87. Chris West, 1:08 flat. Gary Hawkes, 1:10.85. And Scott Jones, 1:11.30.
One way to get some traction is to go for a mud tyre, and that's what we see here. The tyre's very narrow, and it's made to dig down into the mud and try and get some bite. It looks like Richard and Matt Jansen have gone for a pretty big cut here. The purpose of this is to cut through the slush in the road and to try and get down to the hard base. It's going to be difficult on a day like this, but the more cuts you can put in and get away with, the better. The problem is, the tyres are going to wear down very fast, and there's not many stocks of mud tyres in the country, so Matt's got some here just in case it gets really cut up in the afternoon, and he's got them to put on and get maximum traction.
Well, they may need those mud tyres just to make it around the course. And first up in the top four, Gary Hawkes.
Gary's got a lot further through the event than even he thought, so he's done a good job this weekend. He's really getting a handle on this car.
Yeah, like I think he's been driving it nice and tidy and just really putting the power to the ground and getting the times that way.
It's got to be tough on these guys being the first one in this knockout. If the next guy's faster than you're gone, just about.
Yeah, well, he was third quickest going into this run, so I guess he'll be really trying hard to maintain third as a minimum and be the first one there to make use of any mistakes that the top boys make.
All right, here he comes up to the split and...
nice and tidy around the hairpin, good split time.
Yeah, tail out there a bit in the loose stuff. You know, Gary will be thinking, hey, can I make up a second or two here and jump in with Matt and Westy, or do I just hold it together?
And how do you make up that time in such a run like this?
Look, it seems to me the best way at the moment is just as much loud pedal as you possibly can get away with it, you know, hold on down to the finish.
And here he comes down to the finish, and this is going to be the one that he sets, 1:12.2.
We've certainly seen a lot of you in different cars. Did you think you're going to be in the top four at the beginning of the day?
No, absolutely not. I looked at the entry list at the start of the event and thought if we make the top 8, it'll be a bonus. You know, be in the top 4, absolutely wrapped.
1:12.2 is the time to beat, and here goes Chris West.
We're certainly expecting Westy to be in the top 2, so let's just see what sort of time he can do and see what improvements he can make.
Yeah, look, Chris has been around for a while and he'll have a few tricks up his sleeve yet. You can be sure that he'll be wanting to respond to Matt now and, you know, make sure that he's in the right place to be in that top 2 and, you know, in for the fight at the finish.
He had a big moment coming down the hill last time, so I guess that's one area to improve.
Yeah, look, Westy's been struggling with the dipper and the hairpin this weekend. They're the 2 places that he's really been trying to get right. Let's see how he goes now. Really not grouse through the hairpin, but a good time, 39.48.
I think that hairpin has been quite a tricky corner for everyone all weekend. It's just, it hasn't really got a good base around it.
Look, not a bad run through there on the dipper for Westy. That's probably his best run through there.
Right, and his total commitment. Also the damage on the side of the car from where he actually went off earlier in the day. And 1:06.29.
All things panning out as they should. It possibly looks like you and Matt into the final. Yes, we have some cars to go, but come the final, you got anything left?
Oh, I mean, it's yeah, it's strange. Probably slow is faster in this case. So yeah, it's definitely some on the way down, but it's a fine line there.
All right, here we go with Scott Jones. And if he can get a good time in here, this could move on Gary Hawkes.
Look, Scott had a bit of a messy run on the last one, and you know, he'll be looking to tidy that up. He's certainly got the bravery. You know, he'll be wanting to just line it up a bit, get that power on the ground.
So into the first big corner of the run, looking fast through there.
How important is it to get that first corner right, just to set the car up?
The braking point to turn one.
Oh!
That was a big moment.
Nearly caught out there, but he's managed to recover. Really, I think he was in for a good time at the hairpin, but I think it might have scared him a bit.
That was as close as you'll get to tipping it over without actually putting the roof on the road.
And this is going to be exciting on the run down. Here he goes, look, total commitment. Whoa!
Crikey, just, you know, he did that on the run before as well, just, you know, just struggling exiting the dipper there.
And here we go with a total commitment with the quite hair-raising run. How is the time going to be? Look at that, 1:10.68, so Gary Hawkes is out.
We've heard some reports it wasn't all clean, but the time's certainly fast.
Yeah, I was looking down past here at one stage, it's a shingle, it wasn't flash. That was quite a big moment, actually. I just sort of going too quick into the corner and buttoned off and just sort of hit the bank, and yeah, wasn't flash.
All down now to see what Matt Jansen can do.
Oh, and look, he's just duffed the start a little bit there, and, you know, a few nerves might be starting to show.
Wow, well, he did a 1:06.87 to get into the top four, so that would put him on to battle it out with Chris West if he can hang it together.
That's right. All weekend he's shown he's had the speed, and he's surprised me with how much pace he has had. But you've got to do it every run, so no mistakes. He hasn't made the best of starts to the run, but he's certainly making up for it now.
You're really trying hard there, Matt. Good to see him getting a good line there on the exits.
Well, here comes the all-important split, and see how we go. 39.2.
That's a super time considering he had the little bobble.
He's right out wide there on the exit though. Probably lost half a second or two there.
This is going to be a great run.
It looks like it will have him in the top two runoff.
Wow, this in-car, I don't know how we can see where he's going with that glare from the fog.
He's certainly trying hard coming down here, isn't he?
And here it is, the big, 1:06.24.
You've certainly stepped it up, and waiting for you to come across that last corner, it's pretty special, so it must be amazing in the car.
Oh, it's amazing to that quick in the car. Like, we've never driven a car with this much power before, and to come down the hill like that, I've never had a car that will light up in 4th and 5th gear downhill. It's pretty cool.
So Matt is going straight back onto the hill and put the pressure on Chris West.
Well, Matt being the fastest qualifier in that run that we've just seen, he gets the choice of which order he runs. He's going to go first, the car's warm, the tyre's warm, he's just done the run, he knows all the braking points, he just wants to go out, go as fast as he can and lay out on time and put the pressure onto Chris West.
You know, this is the do or die run for Matt. It's hard to be going 100 miles an hour, and he'll be knowing that this is the one. If he mucks up this run, none of the runs beforehand are going to mean anything. And it looks like he's run quite wide there, and he'll pay for that.
It was looking good till that point, so maybe he's just lost half a second, but not a bad split.
And wide again. Yeah, really struggling to get away there, like he's made a couple of crucial errors there.
This is going to be the time to set. We'll keep an eye on that clock as he comes down, stays in the ruts to keep it nice and quick.
He's carrying some pace there.
As we come up over the hill, this is full commitment stuff. And this looks quick. This does look fast. That is 1:06.08, fastest time of the day, really putting the pressure on Chris West.
Stunning time again. You're almost in the fives, you know, very low 06. That's superb.
Oh, that's fantastic. We made a mistake at the hairpin and just got out in the loose stuff, so hopefully Westy doesn't capitalise on that, but we've put up as much of a fight as we can.
I think it's a very good call to go first.
Yeah, it was. We wanted to keep the temps in the tyres, temps in the brakes, and also the intercooler temp was still down. So the big advantage with the Mitsubishi is it can cool its intercooler a lot better than we can with it sitting on top of the engine. So we had to bear that in mind.
Here we go. It's the big last run of the day. Can Chris West do it?
He'll have to go quicker than anybody else has gone all weekend to do it.
I was talking about Westy having a couple of tricks up his sleeve, and I know that he had some really soft compound tyres in there that were hidden in the truck, and he will definitely have pulled those out for this run.
All right, and how close is it going to be? Once again, looks spectacular and smooth, doesn't it?
They're really putting the power on the ground here. You know, Westy has, driven quite nicely this weekend, so he'll be, very happy with himself.
It's a nice tidy line through Notice.
All right, coming in. Here we go. 39.38.
Similar split. It's all going to be on what he can do coming down the hill.
Not Westy's best work through the hairpin there, but, he can make up for it down the hill still. He's on a similar time to Matt, so, Matt will be at the bottom. He'll be watching this and he'll be, gritting his teeth. Really flying down the hill, though.
Look at
that time there. He's going good.
Is that going to cost him? Here he comes. 1:04.54.
Crikey, right off after the finish there.
What a way to finish the Ashley Sprint.
Whew. The road didn't lend itself to record times, but you've certainly made this event memorable.
Oh, I mean, that's, the pressure was on. I mean, Matt's turned it up in those last 2 runs, and, we saved the best to last, and, that's what we enjoy is the pressure, and, things are getting better and better. I mean, the championship is obviously an important part, but for us, as far as New Zealand Championship, but I mean, here, it's a great opportunity to be here, local crowd, and, just a great way to finish a very wet weekend.
So Chris West takes his first Ashley Forest Rally Sprint win and the Pace Projects Trophy for 2013. He may also claim the wet record for the sprint. Let's hope the weather is kinder in 2014 when we return once again to this magic road.